boy Johnny Finesse. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're back with another patrickcc video. How Saturday Night Live became Saturday Night Live Reject became a superstar. If you're new to the channel and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,300 subs. We're going crazy. We passed halfway there. Yo, we going up, man. We consistent. We going crazy, man. If you're new to the channel and haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's get into it.
Getting a job on Saturday
Make sure you hit the like button too. It goes a long way, bro.
Not only can they earn a living writing jokes, but they also get to do it on the largest comedy platform in the entertainment industry.
Hey, have y'all ever watched Saturday Night Live? Hit that like button. If you did, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Just hit that like button.
So
if
when
you have,
Shane Gillis
what's
got
your
a
favorite
job as a
episode
writer
from
for
Saturday Night
SNL
Live?
in 2019, he was excited to add his signature humor to the show.
One thing I like about these videos, I could just put subtitles right here.
Then he was fired just a few days later. A 2-minute clip from his podcast destroyed his opportunity to work on network television. But this would be a blessing in disguise, because it actually was the catalyst to him becoming a superstar, and the Comedy Corporation came crawling back for Shane after he proved he did not need them. Becoming a successful comedian is a brutal grind, but before social media, it was 10 times harder. You had to spend years working on material in local clubs that were half empty, praying that one night someone in the crowd had the right connections to get you an opportunity. If you were lucky, after traveling the country doing open mics for years while being flat broke, maybe you'd make a name for yourself to land a 5-minute set on late night TV or a small role in a mid-tier comedy movie and hope they write you a standout moment in the film. The absolute peak of the comedy mountain was securing a job on Saturday Night Live.
So I get lit so easy, bro.
Or even better, an on-screen talent, it became significantly easier to secure movie roles or sell tickets to stand-up performances. There have been countless iconic and extremely successful comedians that had their careers significantly elevated due to them being SNL cast members. Now, it wasn't impossible to make it without SNL. Kevin Hart and Louis C.K. did just fine despite being rejected from the show. But these days, the pendulum has entirely swung the other way, and SNL is no longer the ideal blueprint for creating a successful career in comedy, as podcasting and social media flip the entire industry on its head. Comedians still have to start at the bottom, doing open mics and small comedy clubs, but now they aren't forced to secure a fan base in the small geographical location that they reside in. They can film their sets and post their best jokes to social media. Those videos will allow them to grow a following independently and allow them to get more bookings across the country.
It's a beautiful thing.
A podcast. And
the internet is such a beautiful thing. If you have a skill or a hobby, monetize it. If you have a skill or a hobby, monetize it. Then you can get money for doing what you love to do.
Actually prove their comedy prowess through casual, funny banter.
You may not get the same amount of money as the big guys, but nigga, you're getting paid to do what you love. And that's pure happiness, bro.
With their friends or other
That's pure happiness.
Shane Gillis had already been grinding in the Philadelphia comedy scene for a few years, slowly building a name for himself as one of the funniest up-and-coming comics in the city. He bounced between open mics and small clubs, doing whatever shows he could get.
That's another thing. I've never fought anyone my size. So I'm bragging about being undefeated, but I only fight people I'm definitely going to beat the f*** out of. That's the rule.
You a cheater, bro.
You never fight a wrestler, and you always fight someone you're definitely going to beat. Like women.
Whoa.
Along the way, he met fellow comic Matt McCusker, and the two clicked immediately. Matt and Shane had the same sense of humor, the same edgy comedy, and a chemistry that felt like they had been friends since they were kids, so starting a podcast was the obvious move. Shane's comedy style isn't really made for safe, polished 5-minute TV sets. He thrives in long conversations where he can let loose, riff off others, and develop inside jokes with his friends. What started out as two comics hanging out and talking turned into Matt and Shane's secret podcast. It didn't feel like a show. It felt like listening in on a conversation with your two funniest friends.
God damn. Whoa!
That's that Supreme stuff.
No, don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about what I'm up to over here.
That's that Supreme stuff.
And I was watching 3 6 Mafia videos.
By early 2019, Shane wasn't just a Philly comic with a podcast anymore. He was quickly becoming one of the most talked about names in the industry. Ironically, he was actually making a name for himself the old-fashioned way. Sure, his podcast was getting some decent traction online, but it was actually the other comics seeing him in clubs and then spreading his work throughout the industry that caused him to buzz. That same year, he signed with United Talent Agency, packed his bags, and moved to New York City. Not too long after, Comedy Central named him one of their
if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, bro.
On the same list as some of the fastest rising names in the game.
Just moved to New York this year, and yeah, it's all right. New York's all right. It's nice. I like it more than I thought I would, but I just found out I was fat. I'm 31. I just this year found out that I was a fat guy. I'm from a white trash enough town that this was killing it. People back home see me, they're like, "What's your fucking secret?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out, man." Supposedly hang out.
And then the biggest moment of his career happened. Saturday Night Live called, and they wanted him to come in for an audition. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, ZocDoc.
Oh gosh, 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 oh gosh,
or play. Getting cast on SNL is typically an amazing moment for a young comic's career, and it was for Shane too, for about 24 hours. In September of 2019, Saturday Night Live announced they would be adding 3 new members to their cast: Bowen Yang, Chloe Fineman, and Shane Gillis. But less than 24 hours after the announcement, old clips from Matt and Shane's secret podcast started to resurface.
Damn, so somebody was probably hating, bro.
Chinatown, using language that did not sit right with a lot of people.
Damn, Chinatown's.
Damn, you know, that means somebody was hating, bro. For you to bring up old stuff, somebody was hating.
Nuts.
It's crazy, dude.
Somebody was hating, bro.
China, dude.
Yeah.
Chinese down there.
I wonder how that started. They just built one f***ed up looking building, and people were like, "All right, no one said anything.
Let's live there, huh?" And the translation between you and the waiter, is just such a fucking hassle. It's like, can you? I'm pointing at it. Like, this is the fucking waiter.
Well, that's why they put number for like 57.
Yeah, this one, even with shit, I was pointing. I was like, that sauce, that. She's like, yes. It's like, yeah, that one. She's like, yeah. Medium or spicy? Yeah. It's like, medium. She's like, spicy. Medium. No medium. Spicy.
While the clip of Shane using the slur was making its rounds online, SNL
was light, bro.
praised for casting Bowen Yang, their first East Asian cast member. The timing could not have been worse. What should have
that joke is not even bad, bro. That joke was not even bad. That shit was not even bad. Somebody was just hating on, bro.
A big win.
It was hating
for the
on,
show
bro.
Turned into a PR nightmare.
So I was going to do shows, and I was like, nice, I just got announced on SNL. I'm going to go to the club, get some drinks, it'll be fun. On the way to the club, I was in a train, and I got a text from my agent that was like, did you say the C word? And I was like, no, I would never. I don't say that word. And then she was like, here's a clip of you saying it. It was literally a video of me saying it. And I was like, all right, maybe I said it. Looks like I said it. By the time I got to the stand, like, TMZ was there.
There was an explosive amount of criticism online towards Shane and SNL. Actor Daniel Day Kim tweeted, "It took 45 years for SNL to get an East Asian cast member, and in that same year, he'll be joined by someone who would have no problem calling him a slur." Actor Simu Liu added, "This word has been used to dehumanize my people for over 150 years. You don't get to use it in the name of edgy comedy." By the next morning, Shane was being labeled a racist across major news outlets, and since he was still relatively unknown in the mainstream, there wasn't much of a public defense speaking on his behalf. Most people didn't even know who he was, they just knew the clip. It's important to understand that SNL is under NBC Universal, a huge media conglomerate
so they're not gonna let that rock.
They're not gonna let that rock, brand conscious. When the backlash hit, executives had to decide if it was worth it to risk a boycott, advertiser pressure, or major headlines for a new, relatively unknown comedian. Shane got on the phone with SNL producer Lorne Michaels and a few executives who wanted him to post a scripted apology. By most accounts, Lorne Michaels personally didn't seem overly offended by the podcast clips, but was
it wasn't that much. He was just trying to get it out the way.
Like Lorne may have even been willing to weather the storm
work with it
if it were entirely up to him, but even Lorne has a boss to appease. However, the scripted apology didn't sit right with Shane. It didn't sound like his true feelings, and he wasn't about to tweet something he didn't feel was authentic, so he kept it simple, wrote up his own short statement and tweeted it. I'm a comedian who pushes boundaries. I sometimes miss. If you go through my 10 years of comedy, most of it is bad. You're going to find a lot of bad misses. I'm happy to apologize to anyone who's actually offended by anything I've said. My intention is never to hurt anyone, but I am trying to be the best comedian I can be, and sometimes that requires risk.
I ain't gonna lie, I like that apology. That apology's fine. He's saying, yo, I'll be going off the edge to find the best jokes, man. If y'all offended, I'm sorry. It is what it is,
was
bro.
Furious that Shane did not follow their orders. They gave him a choice, resign or be fired. And Shane didn't want to resign, so he was fired. But losing SNL Unemployment, collect that unemployment, my boy. Was just the start. The backlash got so intense that Shane's talent agency, UTA, also dropped him. Shane was essentially canceled, and he could have leaned further into it. He could have played the victim and turned his career into a big freedom of speech, legalized comedy campaign. But he did not want to make his entire identity around cancel culture. Instead, he just accepted it. As much as the controversy hurt, it also introduced him to thousands of comedy fans. People who had never heard of Shane Gillis were suddenly Googling his name, watching his sets, and checking out his podcast. Even some of the biggest names in comedy were coming to his defense.
So I don't get it. And then I don't get if you say something like that, you can't work in a sketch show, but like it's okay from what? He can work at a lumber yard?
Yeah. It's like, nah, facts though.
More Asians there, right?
Facts though. You're not lying.
On SNL, it's a joke about how SNL's not hiring Asians. Jesus Christ. Also, now I'm in trouble?
Yeah.
We're not running for office. When is this gonna end? Is it?
No cap though.
You're a bunch of rats, all of you.
For a comic who is commonly associated with being edgy and risque, all publicity is good publicity.
No cap.
And now what could be seen as a legendary move, Shane proved to SNL that firing him was a terrible decision, as he was about to launch his own comedy sketch show that fans felt was significantly funnier than the corporate giant. Gillis teamed up with comedian and filmmaker John McKeever to create Gillian Keeves, a sketch-based comedy YouTube channel.
I'm Bob Isis of Isis Toyota, and we have a great collection of pre-owned certified Toyotas. But there's one thing I want to make very clear.
That's back then when YouTube was lit.
Nothing to do.
And I should have started, but it is what it is.
There in the Middle East right now, and that's why we are the good ISIS.
I think you should be like, here at ISIS Toyota, we'll behead the competition.
Yes. No, we're not doing this. What are you guys talking about? We're not wishing death to any of our enemies. We are wishing death to high prices.
When you get fired from SNL and then go on to make way funnier content, this guy pushes boundaries in comedy. The series quickly built a cult following for its edgy jokes and Shane's ability to absolutely nail every character he played.
I saw you come in, I said, that's the one, the belle of the ball. You're the prettiest one.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you here. I'm not that interested in
You're the ugliest.
You're the ugliest, yeah.
He's actually funny.
He's bowl cut, Chucky.
You make fun of my hair in front of my friends? I'll kill you.
Combine the Gillian Keeves sketches with the
he's going crazy. That's M's every video
podcast, and Shane was rapidly becoming one of the most popular newcomers in the comedy scene. With momentum at an all-time high, Shane would land an opportunity that is arguably bigger than SNL, a spot on the Joe Rogan podcast. The Joe Rogan Experience has consistently ranked at the top of podcast charts over the past decade, and even though most people associate him with politics, the UFC, DMT, and animal noises, many forget that Joe Rogan is a veteran comedian who has been doing stand-up for 37 years. Rogan has consistently used his platform to introduce comedians to his large audience, which has made him the highest-ranking comedy tastemaker in the world.
That's fire.
Audience is known for backing
I didn't even know that.
who push boundaries and don't play it safe, which made Shane a natural fit. But that didn't mean the chemistry between Shane and Joe was instant. The episode started off a little awkward, as a few of Shane's early jokes didn't land. When discussing the SNL incident, Shane was detailing the events that led to his termination and tried to make a joke about the conversation he had with Lorne Michaels, the SNL producer who was about to fire him.
He's like, if we just get you to the first episode, like people will see you're not a piece of shit person. And I was like, if I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine. Anyway, I thought that was funny. No?
No.
I was like, oh,
Air bold.
Is that what you thought?
I literally thought that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought
Is it okay?
Funny.
Well, it could have been funny.
Yeah.
I was booked up, though.
That was a conversation I actually had.
Really?
In Lorne Michaels' office in the middle of that.
That's hilarious.
I was in pure
Terror?
panic. Yeah.
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 Not only is this awkward moment absolute gold, it was also the first time anyone had ever blatantly said to Rogan's face that they will use him to advance their career.
Yeah.
Shane was joking. The whole joke was that this was a stupid, arrogant thought. But at the same time, you could easily argue that a comedian cracking jokes on Joe Rogan's podcast will get you more career advancement than Saturday Night Live in the 2020s. We know for a fact this is true for Shane. As the conversation went on, things loosened up. Shane opened up about the SNL situation, owned it, and didn't try to spin it.
Like, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a comedian.
Yeah, well,
So I don't want to come on and do stuff where I'm like, yeah, and then it was unfair how I was treated. It's like, no, I get it. I understand why I was treated that way. I said wild shit. I'm going to keep saying wild.
yeah.
Nowadays, there's no chance I'm going to work at NBC. So those are the rules now. If I want to argue why we made these rules, that's different. But
Yeah.
I understand the rules, and I wasn't abiding by those rules.
I missed all the SNL drama, so I didn't know who this guy was, but I like him. He's funny despite Joe being whooshed the whole time. They have to uncancel this guy. It's BS. He totally owns it. I will support him however I can. But before Shane could truly be taken seriously in the comedy world, he needed one more thing. A
Like what?
full-length stand-up special. Shane decided to record his in front of a tiny crowd in Austin, Texas, far from the glamorous, high-produced theater performances you typically see. And instead of pitching his special to a network and receiving a big payday, Shane stayed true to the fans that made him who he is.
That's
Shane
fire.
Gillis Live in Austin dropped on YouTube on September 7th, 2021, completely free. No
Damn.
paywall. Just click, watch, and laugh.
I actually
That's fire.
volunteered and coached with the Special Olympics for a little while, so, you know, what'd you guys do? No, don't clap. I did it for those kids.
No, I'm kidding. I look like this, so. Me coaching the Special Olympics, I was like a double agent. No one knew whose side I was on, dude. Player.
Definitely true that the matching funds program
Oh, what's going
in
on?
particular makes it easier for everyday New Yorkers. I'm talking about
Shut your mouth.
Chaperone, no one knew. I'd be standing there coaching, holding a clipboard with 5 dudes that looked exactly like me. We always see the coaches from the other team looking over like, I think they're letting one of them coach.
Currently, Shane's Live in Austin special has 41 million views, an 8.3 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, and was regarded as one of the best independent comedy specials of 2021. It's safe to say comedy fans love Shane Gillis. What I love about his style is that it feels improvised. His cadence and delivery sounds less like a stand-up routine and more like he's just talking shit with his friends at a bar. More laughs in 48 minutes than a whole season of SNL. Gillis's comedic persona is somewhat of an everyman while still being immoral or a bad influence. Like, on one hand, he can come across as a charming dad who maybe
He was
unfortunately
down in a commercial. That's
he can
fine.
play up
I remember
more
that
of a
commercial.
creepy, gross incel type character. But the real Shane is just an unapologetic bro looking to have a good time with the boys.
I remember the last time I fell. Hold on, I was hammered at JFK. And I fell in the bathroom.
No, you took a brewski tumble?
I took a brewski tumble at JFK, dude.
Shit.
Oh, look, it gets worse. I took a brewski tumble upon arrival. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings at arrival and got hammered. Me and O'Connor were like arguing. Me and O'Connor got shit-faced.
Wait, you
at
were arriving at the
a
airport?
Buffalo Wild Wings in JFK.
You couldn't
Yo,
wait?
Buffalo Wild Wings, bro, is so expensive, bro. So expensive for no reason. It's like $12 for 6 wings. $2 a wing, bro. Are you serious, bro? No bev, no nothing. Just wings and celery sticks, bro. With $12, no bev, no side, nothing, bro.
I think there was some NBA
Shit whack,
on.
bro.
I
We were
see.
like,
I
You
dude,
can get a
this
home
is
meal
just
from
the fourth
McDonald's for
quarter.
the same
Yeah,
price,
I
bro.
see. I see.
Had a couple brewskis,
Satisfied.
started arguing. I think I was mid-argument with him, and then I went to the bathroom, and he was walking in as I was still laying on the ground. And I was like, this doesn't change anything, dude. I'm still wrong.
Gillis started touring the country, selling out much larger venues for his live performances.
Nah, that's
He
crazy.
became a regularly featured guest on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Armpit hair got me.
Armpit hair doesn't bother me at all.
So wait, you like jack ladies with armpit hair?
Yeah, a little bit of
You're
armpit
getting
hair.
close, dude. You're so close.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I like a good buzz cut.
I like them bald.
Yeah, I like a good
I like a bald lady. She can wear a wig.
Yeah, she can
You be a different hairstyle
Get her
every
some
night.
khakis.
Rogan even created another podcast within the JRE universe with Shane, Ari Shaffir, and Mark Norman called Protect Our Parks. Now Shane was being regularly platformed by the biggest comedy tastemaker. From there, Shane recorded a second special called
Beautiful
Dogs that was purchased by Netflix. With Netflix comedy being more relevant than ever, this was a huge opportunity for Shane, since his first special
they
was
did had a
posted
lot of comedy shows in Netflix around that time, no cap.
on YouTube channel.
No cap.
You could argue that he maybe got some favorable reviews from his biased fan base. However, Netflix would expose him to a much more broad, unbiased audience, and he seemingly won them over as well, securing a 7.9 out of 10 star rating.
That's
My
valid.
favorite thing about Biden is anytime Biden finishes a speech, he transforms into a Roomba.
Additionally, Shane's special showed that he's not trying to be some anti-woke hero. Because of his subject matter, his affiliation with Rogan, and his ascent into pop culture via being canceled, was a recipe for earning him a predominantly right-wing fan base. These days, comedy is more political than ever, and it seems like a lot of criticism towards comedians comes from those with an opposing political ideology. Then again, a lot of fans gravitate towards comedians that they assume share their political beliefs, and for Shane, they assumed he was right-wing. In his special, he challenged those assumptions by joking about America ignoring gun control, making fun of conservatives' fears about queer people in the military, and roasts George Washington for being a weird slave owner. His style might seem right-wing and might be heavily adopted by the anti-woke crowd, but his belief system has definitely been projected onto him by his opposition and his fans. What's crazy is during all of this success, he still remained consistent with his online following, releasing a weekly podcast episode and a bonus episode for his Patreon. By 2024, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast became the most subscribed show on Patreon with 153,000 members, earning them nearly $1 million per month. He never needed Saturday Night Live, and now he was wildly successful without them. You could actually argue the opposite. It's more likely that Saturday Night
So where's the Asian do that? Where's the Asian do that?
Live needed
Fuck outta here.
Now, I'm definitely
Fuck outta here.
exaggerating.
Is he still on the
SNL
show?
has been running for 50 years, and a huge reason it's
Oh, he's still
lasted
on the
this
show.
long
My
is
fault.
because it adapts to the modern social climate. Since SNL is writing and releasing brand new content every Saturday night, they literally have to have their finger on the pulse of pop culture. The moment SNL stops feeling current, it risks becoming outdated and irrelevant. When Shane was dropped in 2019, it made sense for the time. Cancel culture was at its peak, and the general public was deep in a hypersensitive era. But
Yeah,
after
it's
years
terrible
of
ass
chronically
culture of
online
canceling.
Twitter users
Like everybody that was canceled is still here. Stupid.
demanding the
Stupid.
destruction of anyone who crossed
Stupid.
the line, audiences started to burn out. Edgier comedians began to thrive, and there became a huge demand for
Stupid.
unfiltered, unapologetic humor. SNL is nowhere near leading that shift, but rather slowly adapting enough to avoid being left behind, which is why in 2024, 5 years after he was fired, Shane Gillis was asked to host Saturday Night Live.
That's
And
tough.
yeah, this was a hypocritical move by SNL. They fired someone for being too controversial, then brought him back after he got popular for being exactly that. They seemed blatantly opportunistic.
They the same.
However, it didn't go as great as either of them were hoping. In his opening monologue, Shane started by joking about the 2019 situation.
Most of you probably have no idea who I am. I was fired from this show a while ago, but if, don't look that up, please. If you don't know who I am, please don't Google that. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
He leaned into self-deprecating humor, saying he probably shouldn't be there and poking fun at his appearance. The first few minutes, it seemed like Shane was doing fine, but once one of his jokes did not land, it halted all the momentum he had.
Talk about my family. I'll tell you this. I don't know if you guys, if you can tell by looking at me, but I do have family members with Down syndrome. It almost got me.
It almost got me.
Dodged it, but it nicked me. It's funny. Look, I don't have any material that can be on TV, all right? I'm trying my best. Also, this place is extremely well lit. I can see everyone not enjoying it. This is, You know, just the most nervous I've ever been. Don't clap now. Shut up.
It seemed like after that joke, Shane started to lean into the idea that he was bombing, which forced the audience to focus on it.
My niece has Down syndrome, and I thought that was going to get a bigger laugh.
Somebody just called me or some shit? Why did they do
If you
that
watch it back,
crazy
it
ass
doesn't
sound?
sound like he was doing that bad, but some have theorized that SNL actually added in a laugh track or boosted the volume of the laughs to make Shane's performance look better. After the SNL monologue, countless major news publications posted negative reviews of his stand-up. Eric Deggans of NPR said, "Gillis's turn on SNL last night felt more like an attempt to court a new demographic and poke a bit at liberal sensibilities." Zach Vasquez of The Guardian said his bomb wasn't surprising since he's, quote, "a mediocre sketch comedian at best." Most comedians wouldn't admit to being nervous or saying they expected a bigger laugh from the audience during their performance. They would just tell the jokes. So it's pretty safe to say that even Shane thought he wasn't doing too well. Then again, Shane could have been doing some sort of reverse psychology, claiming he was bombing to enhance the joke. What really confused everyone was that Shane thought he did a great job, which seemed to contradict his behavior in
He went to Notre Dame or something? He always got Notre Dame all those on.
All week, because I, you know, was dying.
Yeah,
with
sure.
stress. And then in the car from SNL to the after party, I was like, let's see what everyone's saying. It was like Shane Gillis bombs. Like, I was like, what the f-? I got done. I was like, damn, I did great.
Yeah.
That was the worst.
The worst hosting in history of
it was
SNL.
so hard not to say.
What really mattered was that Shane's fans thought it was great, and the fact that the audience wasn't really laughing made it even funnier to them, perhaps reminiscent of Norm Macdonald's attitude, who would often disregard the audience and tell the jokes that he thought was funny. He was more than happy to sit there and make himself laugh. While the monologue didn't exactly crush, he did hold his own in the sketches. In Gump, he played a former high school bully who shows up to his class reunion expecting to impress everyone, only to be upstaged by Forrest Gump.
And of course, my very best girl, Jenny.
No. Hot Jenny? You locked that down? Oh, I gotta get to the bottom of that. Hot Jenny, girl, where are you at?
She's in heaven with mama.
Damn.
Sorry for your loss. Do you have any friends that aren't dead?
Lieutenant Dan.
Hey, where's he at? Stand up, man.
Shane has such old school SNL energy, so refreshing for this show to see. Perhaps the most ironic sketch was Shane attending an HR meeting where Bowen Yang was the HR manager.
Oh man. Oh man, you see how the tables turns? You see how the tables turn? That crazy, coach.
Of hiring
That's
and
crazy,
firing
coach.
employees. Bowen was the East Asian cast member that was hired at the same time Shane's
That's
controversial
crazy.
use of Asian slurs was brought to light, and ultimately what got him fired. People suspected there might be tension between them, yet Shane said otherwise.
Here, I'll tell you this. Bowen Yang's cool.
Hell yeah.
He is.
Can I say
No, I swear to God.
You would think that after network executives gave him a second chance, received a less than spectacular performance, and arguably even more negative press, that he would surely
My shit
never
look
return
crazy.
to Saturday Night
Full.
Live again.
It is what
right?
it is.
Wrong, because
broke.
Shane just kept leveling up, giving
Kept leveling
SNL
up.
no choice but to bring back the comedy superstar. In the past year and a half, Shane has reached explosive heights, bigger stages, bigger crowds, and locked in a deal with Netflix to launch an original comedy show he wrote and executive produced called Tires. Critics hated the show, and after the SNL reactions, that's no surprise. But once again, Shane's fans held it down. They loved the show, and because of that, the series was popular enough for Netflix to...
You know, it's the same thing with Adam Sandler. A lot of people say his movies is trash, but they always do good in numbers. They always do good in numbers.
Season. Just before the 2024 election, Shane appeared on a special edition of Kill Tony where he impersonated Donald Trump alongside comedian Adam Ray impersonating Joe Biden. This episode absolutely tore the roof off the place, which generated over 25 million views on YouTube and millions more across other social medias.
You want a knuckle sandwich? Joe, you could do nothing to me. I would hurt you severely, and everyone here knows it. I would beat Joe's ass so badly, frankly.
Man, no, I've been there. I campaigned there. You never went there. Meningitis, Illinois.
Joe, you've never visited the Midwest. Everyone knows it. Illinois. loves Donald Trump.
That is.
I wish I had a joke there, but I'm getting into character too much.
SNL can't do shit. This is the best episode in the history of Kill Tony. Since Saturday Night Live makes so much material making fun of the current president, they asked Shane to impersonate Donald Trump for the entire 50th season of SNL. But
Damn.
Shane doesn't need them, so he declined the job offer. He did,
Lit.
however, accept the opportunity to host SNL for a second time in February of 2025.
He wanted
but
his get
some would
back.
argue his return was just as bad, if not worse, than the first time. Shane looked more relaxed during his second monologue, but his eyes were still rapidly panning across the room, hoping to desperately find someone in the crowd laughing at his jokes.
My favorite thing about Biden was anytime he was giving his speech, in between teleprompters, his face would go back to being dead. After that, he'd be like, ah! No, serious. Look, I get it. You guys are pretty liberal here. Look, I understand being liberal, dude. It feels good. It's powerful. It's too powerful, dude. It's like the Sith. You can like lose yourself, dude. Somebody says something you don't like at work, you're like, ah.
Yo, what the?
Do it. All right, now I'm gonna lose you even more.
Shane was in enemy territory, but he stayed true to the edgy humor his fans love, making race jokes, Bill Cosby jokes, and then a sleeper 3-minute rant about the most boring Civil War documentary show in television history.
My favorite historical documentary is it's called Ken Burns' Civil War. All
Ken
right?
Burns' Civil
Ken Burns'
War.
Civil War. If you haven't seen it, it's 900 hours long.
What?
No one on earth has ever finished it. It's kryptonite to women. If you put that on, they will fall asleep immediately. You know, that's a little, they're yapping a little. You go, how about some Ken Burns? That's a little Cosby tip for you, actually.
Ooh. He's wildin'.
Ken Burns.
Oh, nah, he's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'. He's wildin'.
It's almost like you can feel the audience thinking, am I a bad person for laughing at this joke? Probably. So I can't laugh here, rather than laughing at the beautiful idiocracy on display in front of them. Shane laughing to himself knowing he is bombing again in SNL equals pure gold. Watching non-SNL humor be told in front of SNL fans will forever make me laugh. LMAO, this monologue was only for Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast fans. However,
Why?
once again, critics hated it. Karen Valby of Vanity Fair said, Shane saying, look, I get it, you guys are pretty liberal here, as he did tonight when the joke didn't land, is like blaming the ref when you miss your own shot. Sometimes boundary pushing is just code for bad material. Jesse Fox of Vulture compared
Unless you
Shane's
do it right.
performance to a thought-provoking statement made by comedian Anthony Jeselnik, suggesting that Shane was trying to get in trouble and not just simply be funny.
And all these comics now, it's like almost the point is to get in trouble. It's like, why are you giving me shit? I'm a comic, I'm allowed to say whatever I want. That's wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, it's okay to make people mad, but they don't want any pushback. And I think that's wrong. As a comedian, you want to make people laugh.
Shane might have
It's basically don't try to make people laugh while making fun of them. That's that.
Twice on SNL.
That's what he's talking
because
about.
Deep down, he still felt the pressure of performing on such a legacy platform. Whether he needs them or not, he still respects what the show represents in comedy history. But at the same time, he clearly wants to prioritize his fans and stay true to what he thinks is funny. So he won't just pander to a mainstream audience just because he is on network TV. Plus, the monologues didn't even really matter, because the moment the sketches started, Shane settled in and started showing everyone why he deserved to be there again. The standout sketch of the night was Couple of Beers.
Oh yeah, I remember that
for
one.
Medication, anxiety, and depression. It's shot just like a real pharma ad, but instead of a normal drug, it's Shane solving all of life's problems by day drinking.
What are you guys laughing at? How stupid you are? Jay, you look freaking hot, man. You been doing like Pilates?
Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. I'm just having a tough time adjusting to my new medication.
Even though SNL might not be the comedy gatekeepers it
Yo,
used to
I
be,
remember that
their
commercial. That
legacy
commercial
cannot be
was funny.
understated. Many people suggest the show is actually on a hot streak right now, producing some of the best laughs that they had in years. But even SNL creator Lorne Michaels acknowledged that firing Shane was a bad idea. He got beat up for things that he'd done years earlier, and the overreaction to it was so stunning, and the velocity of it was 200 Asian companies were going to boycott the show. It became a scandal, and I go, no. He's just starting, and he's really funny, and you don't know how we're going to use him. When he came back to the show, we saw, oh right, He's really talented, and he would have been really good for us. But SNL is unfortunately bigger than just the producer. It's owned by a massive
company.
corporation.
Can't do nothing about it.
Corporations don't really cancel people, but they distance themselves until the public warms back up. And the public has decided that they love Shane Gillis. And now, all of a sudden, NBC doesn't care about his edgy humor. In the end, Shane and SNL's relationship is a win-win story. Having Shane back makes for a good, full-circle story. He was fired for a podcast clip, then built an empire, arguably from that podcast, as well as sketch comedy, and was able to return to the show on his own terms as a superstar. For Shane, it's a flex. For SNL, it's redemption. And for both of them, it's pretty good for their bank accounts.
Facts. If you made it to the end of the video, you probably like the video.